My name is Dawn Futch, and in 2010, my son Michael Jane Futch was in an automobile accident, and that automobile accident left him classified as being brain dead. Michael Jane was born Christmas Eve, 1990, at Holmes Regional Hospital. You know, he was full of energy from the time he was 2 years old, and it never stopped. I mean, he was always my challenging child. You know, he just was, he was full of energy. He and his sister started Taekwondo at the age of 3 and 4, and they did sport Taekwondo up until they were 17 and a half and 18 and a half.
Michael Jane, of course, was doing Taekwondo almost his whole life, and a friend of his just asked him to come and play some basketball with him, and Michael just fell in love with the sport. And then the Taekwondo kind of went to the wayside, and basketball was his full-time passion.
So besides Michael's passion for basketball and sports, his other passion was people. Michael was very good with people. All of his friends, anytime they had a problem, they would talk to Michael, and Michael would always, you know, lend an ear and listen to them and offer advice when he could.
Kids. Yeah,
the kids. He was really good with the little kids. And then when, you know, Michael became 16, you know, going into the DMV, they ask you if you want to become an organ donor, and, you know, we all are donors. So Michael and Stephanie both, when they turned 16, they both became registered organ donors. We have our own business. We have a bakery, and it was a busy wedding season. We had 7 cakes going out. My daughter and I were in the kitchen working on cakes, and I didn't know that Michael had been across the street at the gas station getting gas, and his dad was outside, and he called Michael over to the parking lot, and he asked Michael where he was going. He said he was on his way home, and 2 of Michael's friends were in another car following Michael, and they left to come home, and it wasn't 5 minutes, and his friend called and said that there had been an accident.
I got a call on my phone. It was from Lorenzo, which was Michael's best friend for years and years, and he was in the other vehicle that was involved in the accident. And he said, you know, there's been an accident, can you come in down here? And I said, sure. And I hopped in my car, and he said, it's Michael and it's bad. So I went back in and told Dawn, just drop what you're doing. We have to go right now. It's been an accident. It's not good.
The accident was literally around the corner from our shop. So we went over there. They wouldn't let me get in the ambulance with Michael, so I knew it was bad. They ended up taking him over to Holmes Regional, and we followed behind. We waited until the accident was about 9:15 in the evening, and they finally came down about 3:30 in the morning and said that Michael was in ICU, and but they needed to talk to us before we were able to go in and see him. And they said that that it didn't look good, that he had severe head trauma, and that, you know, they were going to let us go in and see him, but only Mike and I could go in at that time. They didn't let anybody else in the room. So when we went in, they had Michael hooked up to several machines, and you know, I asked a couple of questions because I wanted to know. He didn't have any scratches on his body, you know, just a couple of nicks, so it didn't really look like he had any external injuries. But it was all internal. He had brain hemorrhaged, and so he was classified as being brain dead.
And Michael had really stressed that if something was to ever happen to him, that he did not want to be kept alive on a machine or in a wheelchair. If he had no quality of life, it wasn't worth living. So we went to the hospital and talked to the doctor, and they sent an advisor down to talk to us, and they said we're going to do another test in the morning to check his brain functions. And his nurse, which is still a very good friend of ours, he said it just doesn't look good. I'm not saying that he can't come back from this, but it just doesn't look real good.
So they performed the test in the morning, and they came back and said that he had 0 brain function. So at that point in time, I told the nurse, Darren, I said, Michael's a registered organ donor. I know that you have a short window of opportunity to procure the organs. And so I told him, that we were giving, our consent to do that. And I told him we needed 24 hours for family and friends to be able to come in and say goodbye to Michael. Never did I expect the amount of people to show up at the hospital that did. In a 24-hour period, we had close to probably 400 people in and out of the hospital. We had to bring them in groups of 5 and 6.
For Michael's memorial service, we had it at the park, at Liberty Park, where he played basketball almost every day. And we just said, in lieu of bringing flowers or something like that, if you could just bring a basketball, we would like to donate that in Michael's name to an underprivileged child. And we just had tons and tons of basketballs showing up. And now we sponsor 8 PAL leagues. We pay for all the kids' uniforms, their coaching fees, everything. So some kids that want to play basketball that couldn't afford it, now they can do it and enjoy that passion as well.
Because Michael's birthday was Christmas Eve, I had already had all the shopping done. And Stephanie, our daughter, said that since Michael wasn't going to be here to open his gifts, she didn't want her things either. She said to donate everything. So that started what is the foundation that we started in honor of Michael. We help underprivileged families and children. We provide Thanksgiving meals at Thanksgiving time. We do angel trees during Christmas, where we take, and have children's names on a tree. People can pick it up, buy a gift, and get it to the families. We do back to school drives with school supplies. So we do a black tie fundraiser once a year, and we do a golf tournament to raise money so that we're able to, provide food for families in need, throughout the year as well.
After we started doing all this, we just felt a really strong need to tell other people about how important it is to be a donor. So we got involved with Trans Life, and they become like our second family as well. So we spend a lot of times with the events with them, and since we started doing this almost 6 years ago, I think we've signed up probably close to 700 people to be organ donors. After Michael had given all his organs up and a little short period of time had went by, we started corresponding through Trans Life with the people that was his recipients. And we wanted to just extend a hand out to them and tell them that, we would like to speak to them. We'd like to become part of their family, and we'd like them to become part of our family. And it was just kind of a magical thing. They just started writing back, and we started corresponding, and we've met just about every single one of Michael's recipients now.
This is the mom of Michael Jean Futch, and they are my family savior. So
I was born without a kidney. The one kidney that I had left almost stopped functioning. 5.5 years ago, I received a kidney transplant. That kidney transplant saved my life. It allowed me to continue to be a father and a husband. From my family to the Futch family, thank you very much.
This area is a memorial garden that we made for Michael. The pole that Michael was involved in the accident with was made into some benches that are next to the pond. And then also his basketball hoop was taken down and attached to it on the side of the pond. One of his friends had asked if there was going to be a place where they could go and, talk to Michael. So that's what we did, was we created this backyard for that. The whole thing of organ donation, when you get to finally meet the recipients, if you choose to do so, is it brings a tie, a bond, and it's very beautiful. So I just, if you're contemplating whether or not to allow your loved one, think about what they would want. Think about if they would want to be able to give somebody else that chance of having a second chance, because it is the greatest gift that anybody can ever give, is that gift of life.